Leonardo Locascio, founder and CEO of Winebow, is rightly regarded as the premier importer of quality wine from Italy. In 1998, noted wine critic Robert Parker named Leonardo Locascio one of the most influential wine personalities of the last 20 years. His award-winning portfolio of Italian wines is distributed nationwide under the Leonardo Locascio Selections label, the de facto seal of approval for Italian wine enthusiasts. From the islands of Sicily and Sardinia to the remote regions of Molise and Apulia, all the way to the alpine border of Alto Adige, Leonardo Locascio journeys to find Italy's finest wines and greatest values. Venturing off the beaten path has yielded discoveries of distinctive character and exceptional value. The impressive array of wines imported by Winebow includes internationally known brands from virtually every wine-growing region in Italy. Winebow's ability to select and attract leading wine and spirit producers and our constant drive to have the best values at all levels really sets Winebow apart. Compare the quality and price of Leonardo Locascio selections to any products in the market, and we think you'll agree, there is no comparison.
My name is Leonardo Locascio. I'm the founder and CEO of Winebow, and it is my pleasure to share with you today some highlights about what makes the Winebow portfolio so special. But first, I would like to sincerely thank the New Hampshire State Liquor Commission for promoting and selling Winebow wines all these years. Together we've come a very long way, and New Hampshire has become a very knowledgeable and sophisticated market for Italian wines. I came from a family of entrepreneurs. Both my father and my grandfather owned their own business. And so I decided to leave the financial world to look for something that was more suitable to my roots and to my personality. And I started Winebow as a wine company in 1980. I started Winebow because I felt that there was a need to start exposing the American public to more than straw basket Chianti. I knew what Italy had to offer, and nobody back then seemed to be paying attention to the quality side of the Italian wine business. I remember very well, very vividly, the first encounters and meetings with Italian producers that over the years have become important to Winebow. Those relationships go back 30 years. In many cases, we're now working with the second generation of producers from the same family, and in some cases with the third generation, like in the case of Zardetto and Taurino. I remember at my first Vinitaly in 1980, Vinitaly was a small wine show back then. There were only 2 pavilions. Today, Vinitaly has a very, very large area that is filled with producers, but in those days there were only 2 of those pavilions, and I kept walking back and forth from one producer stand to another, and at one point this big man, this was Cosimo Taurino, planted himself in the middle of an aisle, and he literally stopped me and he said, "Stop, wait, you have to come and taste my wines." And so we did that, and we got to know each other. I liked his wines and I liked him, and he had never exported to the United States. And so I decided to ask him for an exclusive contract for the United States, and he said, "Well, how much wine are you going to buy?" And I committed to what back then seemed like a very large amount of wine. I committed to 500 cases. And he said, well, if I give you an exclusive, I want a contract. And so I pulled out a piece of paper from my briefcase. It was just a plain white piece of paper, and we hand wrote this contract. And that piece of paper today, 30 years later, it's hanging at the walls, on the walls at the winery at Taurino, and it is something that they're displaying with great pride. Those 500 cases became as much as 50,000 cases over the years. Another story that I always remember is when the current CEO of Zardetto, that's Fabio, when he was in his early 20s, he came to New York for the first time with his dad, Pino. Pino was my first contact with Zardetto. And I took them sightseeing in New York, and there is a picture of the 3 of us standing on top of the World Trade Center. That's a very fond memory that both Fabio and I share. I like the fact that many of the very best Italian wines come from wineries that are family owned and operated. And the reason I like that is because these people have their own name on a bottle of wine. So if there is ever an issue or a problem, they're the first ones that want to fix it. And also they will work with tremendous dedication and pride to make sure that the product that has their name is the best that can be possibly produced out of their vineyards. Many of the producers, virtually all of the producers that we represent, are family-owned wineries, and they are considered leaders and innovators in the regions in which they're situated. Among those producers that you may be familiar with, I'd like to mention Zardetto. Zardetto was among the leaders and the innovators in the area of Prosecco. Prosecco is a grape that is producing a sparkling wine around the beautiful hills of Conegliano, not far from Venice. And they started producing Prosecco about 30 years ago. First it was a local success and then national success in Italy. Then we started selling it in the United States, and today Prosecco enjoys a worldwide audience. Prosecco is a real alternative to champagne. It's light, it's fruity, it's sparkling. It goes really well with juices like peach or strawberry juice to make what is known as the Bellini cocktail. Another producer that I would like to mention that we have a very long history with, it's Zenato. I started working with the parents, Sergio and Carla, about 30 years ago. And Zenato was the first one to work with a local grape. It's called Trebbiano di Lugana. And they have now handed the reins of the winery to their children, Alberto and Nadia. Those were little boys and girls when I met them 30 years ago, and now they've come into their own, and they are running the winery, maintaining the same philosophy that their parents had. Another historic producer for us is Allegrini. That's a winery located in the hills of Verona, in the Valpolicella and Amarone zone of production. It is the sixth generation that is currently managing the winery, and I started working with Giovanni Allegrini, and Giovanni was among the first winemakers in Valpolicella to start to speak clearly about the need to improve quality, the need to make more vineyard-based wines. He believed the wines are made in the vineyard and not in the winery. He was a true innovator. He bought what are arguably some of the best vineyards in Valpolicella on steep hillsides, and he turned the winery into an icon of quality in Valpolicella. And today his children, Franco and Marilisa, are continuing that work. Riccardo Cottarella and his winery Falesco is one that I also would like to mention. Riccardo is considered an artist in the Italian wine world. He is a winemaker. Not only does he make wines for his own winery, for Falesco, he's also a consulting winemaker who has clients in France, in India, in the United States, in Israel, throughout Italy. He is a true icon and a personality and a great friend. And at his own winery, Falesco, he has specialized in both domestic and international grape varietals. On the domestic side, he works a lot with Sangiovese. On the international grape variety side, he works a lot with Cabernet Sauvignon and especially with Merlot. And he has produced for a dozen years now a wine called Vitiano, which is very well known in our wine world as a wine that delivers great value. It was a wine with that characteristic when it first came out in the mid-90s, and it still delivers that kind of value today. As a matter of fact, it's a wine that I like to say over-delivers.